Hello, Collab Design for Literacy students. This is Marcos, and this is our week 7 to 8 briefing video, and it's actually the start of spring break for you guys. And we've got a couple of weeks before we meet in class again. And I just wanted to fill you in on what's next or remind you on what's next. You may be watching this right at the beginning of your spring break. You may be watching this a week from now before class starts, but either way, you've got a week's worth of work to do, as we talked about. I want you to have a great spring break and recharge, refresh, and have some fun, but also be productive and keep this in mind as you plan your time so that you can be ready for our next class session and have a great presentation ready for us. So this is the overview of the project in full. We had our research concept presentations. I met with most everyone. There's a few of you who didn't, and you need to reach out to me so that the A making machine can have that session and be able to record your points. So make sure you do that, and also so I can give you feedback and make sure that you've got things on track. So the sooner the better for that. Anytime, just reach out and we can set up a session. So we're gonna have our spring break going on right now, and on Thursday, the 21st, I think it is, we'll be meeting in a brand new classroom to have a full class with a concept design development presentation, which I'll show you here again. What's needed for that. After that, you'll have another week to do part 3 to finalize things, and then another week to complete things, part 4. And then after that, the final files will be due with that extra little hidden week of extra time if you need. And then in terms of what you should be doing now, basically think about like the feedback you got, and it was just feedback basically saying the story sounds great, go for it. So basically what you have to do now is kind of start finalizing your text and take a look at it and put it into your presentation and see whether it needs to be edited, whether you want to rewrite things. If you're starting from a whole new story, obviously you should write that story now. And then it's time to start making your storyboards. And basically what you need to do is consider you have 10 spreads to plan for at the minimum, but you can add more if needed, but not too much, because the more you add, the more expensive the book will get. So 10 stories, 10 story spreads minimum. And then if you add them, obviously you add them as spreads. So two pages, 2 pages, 2 pages. Develop your illustration design technique. So basically use your research that you did and your inspiration and start experiment on how you can create your illustrations for your story or your graphic treatments, and then start doing that by applying them to a first round of layouts. So a couple of spreads, a cover, start looking at some options on how to do things, looking at color, type, illustration style, and do all that within updating your presentation so that as the project progresses, you will have your presentation progress with it so that you're easily ready for the final. Okay, so let's just take a look at an example of one book just to reacquaint everybody with the format of this piece. We didn't do this so much in our class because we wanted to kind of get through things, but this is one of the dirt books produced a few years ago by a student. And again, like most of you, this is not an illustration major or someone who touts themselves as being a drawer, unlike anyone else. Just like you and I, we have our skills at different levels, and she definitely pushed herself to create her book called A Handful of Clay. And this is this is a soft cover 8x10 book, so much larger than the book we did for the baby word book, and also quite a bit older, not by years so much, but by being a more developed person. So this is somebody from, maybe as young as 2 or 3, but definitely in that more early elementary school age. Still, the idea here is that we're wanting to very much so, we're wanting to have this become part of a activity of family time of parent and child, mother, father, grandma, grandpa, aunt, uncle, cousins, friends, babysitters, whoever, a loving person reading to a child and having that interaction between two people in a book. So keep that in mind in terms of the visualness of your pages and the idea of the story being also read aloud and the words meaning something important now, and the fact that the narrative that you're telling, the characters and their choices, the consequences to those choices and the lessons learned are really important, and that we want kids to take away just as much important information about the realities of life and how they can better arm themselves to navigate through our tricky world and be aware of reality and about how stories can help them understand better how others before them, whether fictitious or made up, had to face opportunities, danger, and had to make choices about how they had to respond to things that they weren't necessarily in control of, but they were in control about how they felt about them and how they responded. So that's kind of the bigger picture idea. And with this book, we talked about the fact that we have some elements, just like our baby word book, that are fixed, that there's going to be a dirt logo here on the bottom corner in a white box, and that's not going to move or change size or color. So make sure you plan for that. And then on the cover, this is the cover on the other side, and this is the inside cover here. So these are both this kind of thicker paper stock that's different than on the right here. So on the right here, this is actually page 1. So even though we've gone through, whoops, wrong way. Even though we've gone through, oh, sorry. Okay, this is the inside cover, and this is page 1. I was on the wrong spread. So if you start from the cover and you turn the page, basically that's the same piece of paper. And then here is where the inserted text pages start. So page 1 is the scribble page. This stays the same. Your name will be put down here, so you can type your name in here, or I'll do it. And then the page turns, and here's the first full spread, or pages 2 and 3. This page stays blank, and this page is going to be a text page, much like you see it, except we're going to have your picture in here, and we'll be having a photo shoot session in class in a few weeks. And the story of your book will be here, and a little bit about you, and then just basically about DIRT and our mission will be the text here that stays. So we've gone through 3 pages, and the story still hasn't started yet. So here the story begins on spread 2, or pages 2, 3, 4, 5, pages 4, 5. And for this first spread, for everybody, I want to require that you do exactly what you see here and create a intro spread, a title spread that has the title, has the author, has your credits in it. Here in this book, she credits the author because she kept the text pretty much the same. She edited it a little bit and made it more modern, but she kind of gives credit of the story to Henry Van Dyke, but then she says she wrote it. So I think this is actually a very good way of kind of positioning something. If you have a story that's from the past, and you want to change it and make it a little bit different, you can still give yourself credit by claiming the story to be the original authors, but saying that you've written it and illustrated it or designed it. And yeah, and here it's going to be important. I do want to make sure you guys are putting your credit on here and your names in your books, and that's part of what DIRT is packaging their products as. This idea that stories from the past, lessons from history, are being thought about and considered and reimagined and brought to life by contemporary young people like you. So that is part of what I want to make sure comes across when looking at these books, and that makes them unique to other books. All right, so then the story starts after after the title spread, and basically it goes through at the minimum from story intro to the last spread of 10 spreads. And basically it's going to be your job to utilize these spreads. They're going to be in full color. You can make them black and white if you want. It's not that they can't be black and white, but it's a 4-color press. Again, there's not going to be any way to do anything special. There's no gate folds or die cuts or foil stamps or anything. Unfortunately, it'd be great. I love those things just as much as everybody else. But basically, we're sticking to this idea of an 8x10 page or a 16x10 spread. And here we have to consider the gutter, maybe more than you did with the baby board book. The baby board books they open pretty flat, but this does kind of come and start to swallow in. So make sure you're not putting small or medium size or even bigger text across here unless you're being careful about it, because this little shadow here does come in as a gutter and does change the way the image looks. And then on the very last page, this is our 4th DIRT page. There's the 3 in the beginning, and this is the 4th one that is going to stay fixed. It's going to have other books that we offer just as a kind of a cross-sell opportunity. And then here you have the inside back. So this is technically the last page on the left, and this is the inside back and the back. And on the back, there's an opportunity for you to do an illustration, an image, somehow utilize that space. It's a pretty big space. There will be down here below the pot, there will be a UPC code right in the center here. So that's to be considered. It doesn't show up in this rendering, but it is there. And then the spines are too thin. There will be a little bit of a spine. You have to consider like having the right color or whatever you want there, but it's not big enough for type. So we don't have to worry about the spine so much for type or text or logos or anything like that. So that's basically what we're working with. And it'll be your job to kind of really consider how to utilize your book and your storytelling within these spreads in the best way possible, as we're seeing here in this great book. Okay. So let's look at what is expected with the assignment now. I can get my way back. Okay, so basically in your deck, this is an example of Ivy's who designed this book a few years ago, her deck. We were going to update the design approach, the concept that you wrote at the end of your presentation. You will update that if needed, and make sure you're kind of in words saying what you want to be doing. And then we're going to bring in your text and place it here so that we can read it without any design, and you can also have a chance to edit it, change it, write it, and break it into the kind of pieces needed for you to then be able to make your storyboard and understand how your text is going to apply to each spread. And then here we have the storyboard, and as you can see, we have the cover as the first page, and then the inside cover. It's hard to read the text up there, but it says cover, inside cover, and then page 1 is over here, which looks like page 3, but page 1 because it's cover, inside cover, page 1. And then the first spread is pages 2 and 3, and so forth to get to the back. And 24 is the last page, and inside, back, and back. And it's 24 pages. So it's a 24-page book. And you're thinking, wait, you said 20 spreads. Well, yes, 20 spreads of your story, but that's 20, 10 spreads of your story, that's 20 pages, but 1, 2, 3 is at the beginning and 4 at the end. So that's 24 minus 4 is 20 left for you. So there's 20 pages, 10 spreads for you to do, because 4 of them are already taken by these dirt pages on the first 3 in the front and the last one in the back. And so here you can see a little bit better. The cover form is the first 2 and last 2, and the first 3 dirt pages, and then the last page 24 is the dirt page, and then the rest, you see it starts story spread 1, which is going to be your title spread, and all the way to the spread 10. So there's 10 spreads in this design to work with. Okay. And then basically the next step is to begin to develop how you're going to illustrate this and experiment and try different techniques. That's Ivy's version, but here's another version from another book that can show that you could be more loose with it. It could be a little more sketchy, a little more like start using both sketching it in terms of layout and technique, and then looking at different ways to use watercolor in this case, or however you're going to do it, to begin to like understand how you're going to do it. So basically something like this or this is at the level of the design you should begin with, and then take it and apply it to a cover and to a couple of spreads here. And that's reminding me, I am going to add the template. We have a template for this again, the same thing, an InDesign template, which has already got the size fixed and has all the elements in place. I'll add that to the assignment sheet, which is not there right now because I forgot about that part, but I'll add that in so you can download the template and begin to lay out your book using the InDesign template so that all those pieces are in place and you don't have to worry about making the size or the fonts or whatever. Okay, so this is basically what your assignment's going to look like for your presentation for next week, or not next week, but 2 weeks from now, depending on when you're watching this. A week after, we have a week of spring break, and then Thursday again. Always remember to say thank you. And then on Canvas, we have everything I've been talking about written down here, pretty detailed. And there's also another thing here. There's a book archive that if you click here, this has been added to the Google Drive. under class, there's a new folder called Class Resources here at the top. And if you go to Class Resources, there's a Children's Storybook Archive, and in that is a set of folders with like, I don't know, 10 or so different storybooks from the past that have basically PDFs, flat layout spreads of each and covers of each book. Here's a sample of what it looks like, so you can kind of get a sense of what other books look like. And here's an example of a title spread again. And so use that as a resource. And there's also the links from last week's assignment to the blurb page through, like I was just doing with the handful of clay. You can get those as well, but this is just stills that you can look at pretty easily and quickly. So utilize that. And in this, on the canvas, there's also going to be images from what we've talked about here. So you can reference this storyboard sketch to help you better plan yours out. And in the storyboard sketches, as I was saying before, make sure you start utilizing not just where the text is going to go, like break out the text and assign so you know that your story is going to fit in nicely, but also start thinking about how your images are going to come together as layouts, as designs. It doesn't have to be as accurate as what has been done here, which is really actually amazing. It can be more rougher and it can obviously change, but you should start getting a sense of what you want to do. So this is like a big step in the design. So make sure you take the time to think the storyboard through and have a good plan for you to begin your design with, because it'll save you time and make things more efficient for you. And then as well, I think I had it here somewhere. There's also the assignment on Canvas here. And there's also, I guess here it is, the Children's Storybook Part 2 at the bottom is the new Google Drive to submit your assignment. So upload that before class starts for our next class. Okay, so that's basically it. Remember to have this ready for Thursday, March 21st for a full class presentation. And we have a new classroom, finally. Sorry it took so long. But we're at 66 Fifth Avenue, room 507. I think that's just the same building, but the other elevator on Fifth Avenue, because I think this fifth floor, you can't get to that side of the building unless you use the elevators on the Fifth Avenue side. It says the N building, so I think that's the same thing. We'll see you there for our reviews. And yeah, so reach out as you need. And if anybody has not gotten their baby board book done, almost everybody has, but just think 1 or 2 left. Make sure you get that to me over this weekend. If not, I'm going to begin harassing you in a bad way. And you don't want that. And mostly now, if you're still in the beginning of your break, enjoy your break. Have, whether you're traveling somewhere, whether you're staying here, take the time to reflect on what's important, to think about what you've been doing all semester and all, last semester as well, as you are, heading towards the end of your junior year, like the third to last year of your college, and or second to last, and third year, second to last, and keep the big picture in mind, and know that you're coming back to do, like, this is important work we're doing here. This is a chance for you to really let yourself shine as designers and to become a person who can just fully use their talents, their gifts, and their passion for design to create something that's important, inspiring, and that will be long lasting for you. So come back with great spirits and be ready to go. I'll do the same. So I'll see you guys in a couple of weeks on Thursday, March 21st in our new classroom. Take care, everybody.